Hi, Professor Innes again here. Um, I managed to sort out my technical problems this side in regards to the YouTube videos, which I couldn't post to you. I couldn't make any new ones, so I tried to post the old ones, but they weren't working very well either. So the problem has been fixed, and I can now send these videos again. So with that, we're going to talk about this week's module, which is to do with ethics once again, and as we understand, just to make sure, I'll refer to classical utilitarianism by Bentham. So with classical utilitarianism, we have that understanding that all moral action should attain pleasure, or we could call it happiness. I think the word pleasure is more suitable for utilitarianism. It's considered to be more attainable than happiness. With Aristotle, happiness was this ideal which we're supposed to attain, but as we criticized it, we thought, okay, is happiness ever going to be attainable by anybody? Now, fair enough, Aristotle says only a few people can attain it, but we could critique this and say, yeah, right, nobody can really attain happiness, as Aristotle was asking us to attain this ideal. So we've got this understanding with Bentham that we're attaining pleasure. It's a low expectation of human nature based upon us being lowly in nature. We're not that intelligent, and we're certainly not moral creatures. We're selfish and greedy, and this is all we're going to attain. So we're going to say goodbye to Kant. We're going to say goodbye to Aristotle's ideals, and instead attain pleasure, just pleasure. Now, this might seem, that this is basically bordering on immoral. We're just going to attain pleasure. But for Bentham, he says, right, okay, yes, it is the case that we're not moral by nature, and we're going to have to be enforced to do this. We have to accept that. We will be moral at the end of the day once we hand over our liberties and our rights to the legislature to pass laws, which we won't follow unless we're forced to do so. So we will therefore be moral on the highways by sticking to the speed limits, because we get fined by the police if we don't. We're going to be held responsible to looking after each other by the civil laws and the criminal justice laws, by being punished if we don't look after each other. So, we're enforced. So at the end of the day, we're moral, but only because we're forced to do so. Again, that's back to Bentham's idea that we're selfish and greedy, and the only way we're going to be moral is we're going to be forced to be moral. So we're not moral at the start of the day, but we are by the end of the day. We're enforced. Now, of course, Kant would say, right, strictly speaking, we're not moral creatures now. We've been told what to do and how to do it. But Bentham says, yes, you're true. That is true. We are not moral creatures. So we don't need to worry about Kant anymore. His argument has failed as far as we're concerned. And even though we've read it through and tried to understand it, it doesn't work. It's too strict. That's the nature of Kant's thinking, that we can't include any emotion in that type of thinking. If we do include emotion, or even the striving towards pleasure, that makes us immoral according to Kant. So Bentham comes along and says, I'm going to drag ethics, moral conduct down to earth and make it more applicable to human nature, which is basically we're selfish and greedy. And we're not these duty-bound individuals argued by Kant, or these highly principled individuals argued by Aristotle. We are selfish and greedy by nature. So in that respect, we are going to simply embark upon constructing a system, we call it a government system maybe, rules and regulations, which are going to guide people along the way. We might not say that it's a guidance, either it's just pure enforcement. So whether it's the government, your home situation with the family, or whatever it is. It could be this university which you're a member of has its rules and regulations. You don't follow it, then you get into trouble. You're not choosing these rules and regulations. They're enforced upon you, maybe for your own sake. So at the end of the day, you have a degree, which is worth having, you could argue, but at the end of the day, you've said goodbye to these rights. You said goodbye to these this ability to make your own choices, namely, as Kant would say, your autonomy. So we've made a choice here. If we choose Bentham, then we're saying goodbye to rights. We're saying goodbye to autonomy. Of course, we could hold on to Kant, but as we've seen here, does it work? So we think, okay, I prefer to have rights, I prefer to have autonomy, but I've got to prove there are people out there who can actually morally use their autonomy, use their possession of these rights for the betterment of themselves and, dare say, for the betterment of others. But can they do so? Can we trust them? Bentham says we can't trust them. All people are untrustworthy. And his point of reference is that the legal profession in his day, they were the higher echelons of society, most well-educated individuals, but they could not be trusted. They were corrupt, self-serving individuals. So we think to ourselves, if they can't be trusted, nobody can. So we've got choices to make. And those choices are problematic in nature. Should we go with Bentham or should we stick with Kant? Now, with this type of thinking, it is applicable to the big wide world in which we live, because we have choices to make. Do we use people as means to an end, therefore giving up their autonomy and self-direction? You at this university are used as a means to an end to get degrees. Now, you get your degree at the end, so you should be satisfied here, but you had little or no autonomy in the process. So we have that problem in the big wide society, such as not just in the academic world, but also the medical world. Do we use people to experiment upon to get medical findings to help other people? So therefore, there could be 10 people being carried out, being used to experiment a particular drug, say for the cure of a particular disease. Now, it could be the case they're going to have adverse effects. Some of them might die, but the results will be that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people will benefit from this drug. Can we carry out these experimentations? Because they do happen. Human beings are experimented on every day in America. So we think, is this the right thing to do? Kant would say this is a violation. This is corrupt here. These people are being used as a means to an end. Even if they agree, they're still being used as a means to an end. Agreeing to this doesn't make any difference. So we have problems. It's not the case that Bentham has saved the day. Yes, he's found out that we're all selfish and greedy. That may be true, but at the end of the day, we're not moral. So we've got a bit of a problem as far as ethics is concerned here. And as far as Bentham, Kant, and Aristotle, as we can see them here, they have this idea that they have solved the problem. I presume they have that idea that they've solved the problem, but we look at them and say, all right, okay, they're all just as good as each other as arguments. I might prefer Aristotle, but doesn't mean to say his argument works any better than Kant or Bentham. You may prefer Bentham, but again, does that say that his argument is any better than Kant or Aristotle? So we have problems in saying here what's the correct and moral action to take in regards to any particular position. So think about it in that way, please, and again, don't put forward opinions that you like these philosophers or don't like them or you think they're ridiculous. Just examine their arguments and pick out their faults. You can say that Kant is too strict, and given the ethical dilemmas, such as the ethical dilemma of the drowning child and the luncheon appointment, Which one do you do? With Kant's situation, you do neither, because you're supposed to not break any codes. Now, if you said that hitherto saving people's lives must be carried out at all times, therefore that's an obligation, and also upholding appointments, that's an obligation. Then you've got two obligations. You can only carry out one, therefore breaking the other, that makes you immoral. So you can't win in that situation. So if, for Kant, you have a conflict of interest, a conflict of duties, then you are stuck. There's no resolution here. So keep that in mind with Kant. That is a reason for possibly rejecting Kant. Not that you don't like Kant, or I don't know, for whatever reason. It's just that the argument doesn't work. You've got a point whereby this argument doesn't work at all here. And if you say that emotions are important, yeah, Kant would say emotions are important, but they've got nothing to do with ethical decision making. Now, if you say that emotions are everything, then you've got to say, why are they everything? Why is it the case that an emotional position would be necessary within moral conduct? Because Aristotle would say emotion must be set aside, and so would Kant, and so would Bentham. So emotions, yeah, we all have them. We've got to have them as human beings, but as far as ethical decision making, they have to be put in check. We have to control ourselves. So when criticizing these arguments, don't put forward opinions. Pinpoint a problem within the argument. The text pinpoints problems, and you can find these problems as well. And again, yeah, Bentham could be seen as problematic because we've given up these rights. Yeah, we're human beings with autonomy, and yet Bentham says we don't have these rights, this autonomy. That is a problem. You can pinpoint that as being problematic. Okay, so please be analytical in the sense of understanding these words, and thereafterwards analyze the problems when these philosophers use these words. Okay, so I hope everything's going well. The technical sides of this course are hopefully being resolved and sorted out. I believe that some of you could not access the previous module. If that does happen, please text me straight away. Use the text. I can then go straight to the computer and sort it out. If I get an email, it might be that I don't see that email for 2, possibly 3, maybe even 4 days, because I've got other emails to reply to as well. Not that I'm complaining about emails, it's just that that will be the technicality. If I get a text, I normally 95% of the time reply to it straight away. Alright, so use this texting facility to let me know if something crucially is wrong. Thanks. So the module has been is available. I've checked, so sorry if you couldn't access that. You've got plenty of time to finish, extra time if you need it. I won't mark you down for putting forward late work. So what else do we need to deal with here? I think that's about everything. Like I said, the technical side of technical problems have been resolved mostly. This is the first time I've taught this course, so I'm getting used to it just as you are. I teach philosophy and I don't teach technical stuff, computer stuff. It's new to me, basically. So we'll bear with each other in this process. Okay, right, so if you need anything, let me know. Send me a text, preferably. I consider emails to be like telegrams, are very useful some time ago, but not now. Text me if you can, emails if you have to. Right, so let me know, and speak with you in the journals. And as far as the journals are concerned, that has been designed in a way which I'm not too sure about, but let's keep try and maintain some form of discussion between the two of us. We'll try and do that as the weeks go on, and maybe next week we'll start having a discussion rather than just a pinning of remarks or demands between us, and therefore get talking. Again, journal entries are difficult to get going, right? But we'll get it flowing eventually. So speak with you online and let me know if you need anything. Okay, thanks a lot. Bye.